There we go.
Yo,
Do you hear me okay? I don't have any AirPods. They literally just died.
no, I can hear you great. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. This is my first conversation kind of thing like this. So,
Yeah, right on, right on. Well, I'm freaking stoked. I'm just gonna jump right into it. I'm just like jacked. I'm a fanboy. So I'll give you a little background, just kind of about like what we're doing. A lot of the purpose for these interviews is like helping like novice musicians learn about the industry and like kind of understand the journey of people who are either going through it or have been through it, like yourself. And uh, I've just been watching you on social media and especially on Facebook. I think your Facebook is like, if anyone were to ask me like how to do Facebook, I would point them to you. Like it's just perfect. The way it is so well thought out, like the detail, the number of posts that you do, like just checking in with your audience, like, hey, this is where I'm at today. This is what I'm doing. A couple of pictures, and something like meaningful, just like in the consistency, like, I see multiple posts from you every day. And I'm like, yo, like, I'm along for the ride, So props, like mad props on that. Obviously I've been watching your journey, and I've been a fan of yours for a long time, known each other a long time. I've kind of watched you, probably since like 2015, but you've been doing your thing long before that. And so I'd kind of like to just hear about your musical story and your journey from the very beginning of when you first either got into listening or playing music. And then, we'll just go from there, and I'll continue to kind of ask you questions or prompt you to kind of take us along this McWavy journey.
so when I was really little, like 3 years old, even or 4 years old, we had a upright piano in our kitchen, and I would go to it and I would like play and like I was singing my songs. I guess I remember playing it like, and sometimes there would just be like actually like church type songs because I would take it from going to church and then come back and play a little bit and say like, oh yeah, like this is the song I made up today. And I wanted to play for real, because I knew I wasn't expressing like what I really wanted in it. Like it just was like
Mm-hmm.
notes, right? They didn't mean anything yet. I
Sure.
asked and I like begged for it. And when I was 5, my mom finally found a piano teacher, and I started going with the same woman, Marilyn Taggart, for the rest of my life, like every year, once a week, and then building up further, even more in college because I wanted to pursue piano. But I remember kindergarten in the yearbook. If I can find this yearbook, I'll take a screenshot for you. It asks
Yo.
you what you want to do when you grow up, and I said I want to be a piano player. Like, I don't know what that is.
Wow.
I don't know what else, but it's like I wanted to be a piano player. I just want to play music.
Wow.
And the track for me was, people saw the piano and the classical. They're like, all right, you're gonna go for piano performance. Like that's what it is. Like that's what the goal is. Because I'd never been introduced to like electronic production. That didn't even exist really at that
Mm-hmm.
time. Not
Not really, yeah.
really. So
And it definitely wasn't accessible for sure.
yeah, because I didn't even get internet until I was like in high school, which is crazy also. But
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I went hard for it like that, doing the piano, and then we got to school, and I took that first class of composition, and it was like, this is all I want to do. I don't want to learn other people's music and do these things. I just want to make my stuff so badly. And I
Mm-hmm.
left the piano performance, did that a little bit, and then I realized that college wasn't even right for me, and I had what I needed to just go. It's a very hard route, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
here for life. I'll do this until there's no breath left.
No doubt. Yeah, you can tell in your passion for sure that like you're just gonna go no matter what. So that's awesome. So you were studying composition, you studied piano performance and then composition, and then you're like, all right, like I'm gonna just go do my own thing. So how long were you in school first off?
So I made it till, I mean, I really did just freshman year, but I was there until the beginning of junior year when I finally had the courage to say, no, this isn't right for me. I'm leaving. Because everybody was like, you're making a mistake. Like, don't do.
Yeah.
And I felt like
Yeah.
I didn't have the power to. I remember just walking to the office and being like, boop, 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 I'm out. I called my mom and she was so mad. She was so mad.
Oh.
She still for years tries to convince me to go back. Now that she's starting to see it a little bit, she's
Mhm.
like, it's a little different, but still there's not a lot of money in it. You got to there's
Yeah,
the margin is so small, but once you pass that, it's
it
limitless
explodes.
possibility. But I don't even
Yeah.
need all that. I just want enough to be able to have like a home, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, the composition. So in school, I had these tools that were given to me, and I stopped doing all the work. So for like 2 years in school, I kind of just like lived there and used the studio stuff and
Uh-huh. Which
started.
is not a bad look. I mean, really, I mean, you're still using the resources in a sense.
Yes,
You're kind of learning by osmosis, you know. So there's still some growth taking place for sure. Okay, you get out of school and everybody's like, what are you, crazy? And then like the world is exploding and you're going, okay, like where is your mind at this point as far as like your professional music career? Like how are you thinking about it? Are you thinking of this being a full-time thing? Are you thinking maybe I need to get a job? Like how, like, like because that's where so many people are. I feel like they're like, yo, I'm working at Dollar General, but I'm a badass producer, and it's like, where's the like, okay, screw this Dollar General thing, I'm going for it, you know.
them's the
So
breaks, as they say. Like you gotta do it. I was so naive. I got out. I was like, I'm good. Like I'm gonna make it. Like I can play and I won't have to work a job. And I would do these. I did so many jobs. I've done everything you can possibly think of. And like the minute someone would be like, you can't take off for this show, I'd be like, goodbye. Get a new job, like whatever it takes. Because for me, it has always been that is my number one purpose and job is to just
mhm, play shows.
yeah, but also like connect with people and give them a little bit of hope because there's a lot of different types of music out there, but there's not enough that is making people feel better or like
Mm,
have a little hope. But
yo.
yeah, I still work a 9 to 5. I also work for my housing. I work in a national park, and then
Oh, nice.
I just did that tour. I worked remotely, and luckily, my girlfriend Casey takes care of the other part of the contract while I was gone. But it's very difficult.
Wow.
Um, but
Wow.
until I make enough to be able to reinvest in it,
Hmm.
for just the shows, I have to have this 9 to 5 too. Like
Hmm.
full
Hmm.
transparency, I make 17.25 an hour, and I take all of that and then put it right back into the shows. Some
Yo.
shows I get paid well, other shows I lose a lot of money. Like sometimes people see these huge opportunities, these sold out shows, right? Those are the ones
Hmm.
I get paid the least. So
Mm.
I reinvest all of my everything I can into it. And
Yep.
I've been lucky enough to have some good supporters too, that sometimes when I sell something, they don't pay the price for it. They pay like $150 for it.
Mm.
That's
Yo.
very
So super
real.
fans.
Yeah, it's like those are the real people and people that really love music, like the venues,
Hmm.
smaller things,
Hmm.
they put out for people. Like they
Mm.
really love it. I was just at
Hmm.
this place, Kenny's West Side in Peoria, Illinois. They had
Hmm.
free food and free drinks all night for us, you know?
Damn.
They also had a place for us to stay. We ended up getting a hotel just because of how many people were in it. But
Hmm.
I've never had another club offer that. Like you
Hmm.
get rider items and stuff, but usually the artist pays for that out of pocket too. Like
Yep.
a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, oh, free drinks at the clubs. Like, not really.
Yeah, that's coming out of your money.
Yeah, you can either get that or you can take home that extra $100 from the
Hmm.
rider as a bonus.
Right.
That's real money
Yeah.
you need to buy a flight. Flights are expensive.
Yo. No doubt. This is so awesome. So good already. This is so awesome. So all right, so let's talk about, like, you're out of school, you're working jobs. When do you start getting into, I mean, obviously, like you're transitioning from school. When did you start playing like your first shows? And like what was that like, as far as like, okay, I know I have this thing that I do. I have a show, like I have music to present to people and I have a presentation to give, and energy to share, right? um how did you go about finding the places to do that? And let's just start there. And when was that? I mean, we're talking, you were in school, like what, like 2012, 2013,
Yep.
something like that. Okay. So then now you're like 2014, you're kind of like, okay, where do you start playing? And what's the kind of frequency of, like, how much are you doing it, and et cetera.
So in the very beginning, I remember my first concerts were, as in school, for those performances that you had to, for your composition. And that was my
Mm-hmm.
first taste of that. And then I was like, I want to do a real show. And I can't remember how I got on this, but I'll never forget. It was at this club called Ground Zero in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
I
And
know it.
they gave me, tickets to sell for me to earn whatever. I sold them for $1 because I just wanted anyone to get there. I didn't care if I made money or not. And I did that as One Track Mind, not McWavy yet.
Okay.
I've really got to think on this because that time in my life was a blur. It was very chaotic. So I also had some like traumatic things happening. So it was difficult. But I did that show. And then right after that, I was hungry for it. I was like, I got to find more shows. I got to line these up. But I didn't necessarily have what people were looking for in the area. So it wasn't really working because I wasn't quite electronic and I also wasn't bands. So people were kind of like, well, what do I do? Where do you fit? Where do I go? I got a couple more opportunities. I sat in with sax with people, bands and DJs. And then I remember I got a booking. I switched to McWavy in that time period. Audrey actually gave me that name. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, that was Audrey came up with that name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which I think is really weird in full circle. I'm just like, that's so strange. Just
it is
having that conversation.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. For all of the viewers who see this interview, Audrey is my sister. Yes. So pretty wild that, it's coming around. Wow. I had no idea. That's wild.
Yeah. The one where this was the part where I finally actually broke through was I got a booking in Baltimore. I developed my sound more, and now I was using Ableton, and my live experience was better, right? Like I have my keys and the sax and I can do vocal processing versus I just get up there and kind of like muddle through songs. Like it was ready.
It was a flow.
I did the bars and the things. I mean, I still do bars now, but I did the things that I needed to kind of observe, get better, and create what I needed to for a bigger room. I got booked in Baltimore, Maryland, and that was it. Because everyone in that room, I just so happened to be lucky that it was like this thing where all the promoters were there for the night to support somebody. Like it was their last show in the area. And that night I got 2 more bookings. And they were big girl bookings. Like, I got to play at the 8x10 with Russ Liquid Test. And those bookings opened up all the rest for me. And after that, it was just like collect, work, keep going, try to talk with people that are like-minded and get ahead like that.
So let's rewind. Let's talk a little bit about that groundwork, because that's like, to me, I remember the days, when I first started playing, and the point of like, okay, I'm interested in doing this. I'm going up, I'm kind of fumbling over myself, like figuring out what to do. I'm going to venues and I'm watching shows, and watching, performers that I admire, and then there comes a time when I'm like, okay, I've got a solid set. Like I can go up and rock an audience for a certain amount of time, whatever that is. And that time continues to grow. But, that initial, foundation of the discomfort of not having your show figured out, but still having to get on stage to figure it out. Can we talk about that a little bit, about like those initial, like, how are you feeling? What like you're going into these bars and it's like you were saying, you're not necessarily a band, but you're not like, EDM, so like, where do you fit in? And then, and how are you feeling? And can you just talk a little bit about that, process of like, am I going to get there?
I'm honestly, I'm just now at this point feeling like this show, I can sell this show, and I know what I need to do, especially after this last tour, all the runs in a row. I'll get to that part, but back then I actually was overconfident.
That's kind of a good thing.
I guess so, because it probably, maybe I would have gotten knocked down so hard that I probably would have maybe, and you know, you never know. Like some people, they have this dream, and then enough people tell them, hey, no, where they're like, okay, maybe that would have happened. But I was like, you know, this is good and everyone's gonna like it. And that wasn't actually necessarily the case. What the most important thing for my show specifically is to actually engage with people and have a conversation with them, because it doesn't fit on either side. It's like making an intimate experience. And I figured that out recently, but early on, I kind of just would play through, I would say like a few things, but I wouldn't speak at all. And I would just hope that the music spoke for itself. And it did to an extent, but not in the way I needed. Does that kind of answer the question? Or
yeah. Well, it's all part of the learning. Like you absolutely answered it. You know, and that awareness, I guess, is what I'm talking about. Is like early on, you don't necessarily have that awareness. You're just getting up there and you're playing and hoping for the best, but you don't necessarily even know like what it's supposed to feel like, you know, or what's supposed to happen. You're just kind of like, I need to get up here, I need to play my music, and then I need to figure out how it went, you know? And so you have this perception of how you think it went, and the audience has a perception, the venue has a perception, and you kind of like are molding all these together, you know? And then, you know, you start to develop an idea of, you know, what more you want it to be, or like how you could do better, you know? So I guess that would be kind of the question, is like, you know, how did you start to realize what you could do better?
Definitely seeing other shows. I went to a lot of shows, and like all different types of genres, just great music and the production. I remember, I'll still never forget this one. I went to Montreal, and it was like Skrillex, Diplo, but also had Pretty Lights at the time, and Toka Monster, and like just a plethora of artists. But I'll never forget the Pretty Lights set, because he had, his whole stage was these city lights, right? Like these like blocks, LED screens that made this city. And it was incredible. Like I was just like, wow, like you can really, if you have the budget, create an experience that people will never forget, and they'll come back for time and time and again, because it provides that much value and that like fulfilling feeling for people. Because I felt it proud, and I felt it was like a whole crew of all in the same feeling for a minute. It's just incredible. And I saw that, I was like, I want that. Taking it back, you really have to just ball out with the budget you have. But
yeah, no doubt.
You know, eventually I want to be able to have my own lighting and set up like that. But I found little ways, and with the money that I have, I'd save for things. Anything that's too expensive, that's not right now. Like I know you want that, but it's just not right now.
Yeah.
And you got paid. And there are people willing to work with you and make it happen. Like my artist, I found this guy in Indonesia. I'll be his customer for life, because he makes all of my cartoon art for me. I give him an idea, he draws it perfectly and at a great price, you know. Same with the photographer and videographer we just worked with for the tour, Razor Sharp Productions, Casey. That guy, the day of the show, you saw that content because he gave it to me the day of the show or the day after. Videos,
Wow.
everything, grinding, because he wants it. There are hungry people out there, and good people, and when you connect with them, you're gonna know, because it's gonna feel right. You start listening to your intuition. I've made a lot of mistakes too. I've worked with a lot of shady people and had financial hits and other things, but that's part of the process too, and you just got to keep your chin up.
Learn as you go. Absolutely.
Yep.
So you start to develop this kind of foundation, and then you say like, okay, I want my own show, you know. Talk a little bit about this opportunity in Baltimore. You know, when was this that came up, if you can remember, like the year, time of year, and then, you know, how did that opportunity come up?
Feel like that must have been 2016 or 2017. And it came up because I was talking about moving to Baltimore area. And And the people that I knew in the area were like, these are the people, these are the promoters, you should link up with these people, like they'll get you booked. And I had no value at the time, no numbers, anything else like that. There's no incentive to book me, right? People want to, especially now, they want to see that your TikTok is like blown up, that you have all these numbers. I don't even have the numbers still. The only thing that's gotten me there is like people like the music and something else. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a blessing. But anyway, I hit this guy up and he's like, yeah, maybe, you know, like 2 years go by. Like this was actually before 2017, before this booking or 2016.
And if I may, like, do you remember where you got that guy's info? Like, if we can go like all the way through the process of like how did you know that was the guy you needed to talk to, and like who was giving you like numbers for promoters and stuff?
So no numbers. Basically, the people that I was staying with in Baltimore said, hey, let's go out to a show. These are the people. I went to the show. I watched it. It was Austin Litz, this guy, Suhan, and I don't remember who else, but
okay.
I saw these people and saw the room and everything. And I was like,
so you were talking to performers, people who were performing in Baltimore, or like.
I didn't even do that just yet. I took the information from the flyer and reached out to the promoter myself. And eventually also worked with the people, like sent them messages and asked questions. And I remember I reached out to this guy, Scott Donovan. He was the first person that booked me. He's an artist as well. A lot of people that will help you out are other artists, right? Like a lot of the people throwing shows are other artists because it all is interconnected and worked out like that. And he booked me to play at this club called, what was it? I'm not going to remember right now, but it was cool. It had panels on the wall and it was their last time doing a show there. And he just needed something. It was $50. I actually drove from South Carolina for that $50
to Baltimore.
Yeah. And that $50 got me everything else. And from there, it's like a continuous grind of doing the same thing and making real friendships and stuff. Like you come in, I'm glad I also got a little bit humbled before that point, realizing that my show wasn't where it was, because if you come in there with an attitude, no one wants to work with you, like at all. Like
I think that's one of the things I've seen shift with you too. And just like, not that I really knew you that well before, but I knew that you knew what you had, you know, and you've got skill, of course, you know, but on your social media now, it's like what I see is gratitude, you know, like it's just constant gratitude, you know. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like what was it that humbled you or made you realize like, okay, maybe, you know, I'm not exactly where I want to be or where I need to be?
Probably because I've like doing this also kind of made me mentally unwell a little, because it's just so like you're obsessed. Like I want it so bad. I just want to live that life. Like I'd be happy. I would be fulfilled. Like I could die happy if I knew that I was living my purpose and not wasting my hours at my 9 to 5, which is not a waste. I like that work too, but it's hard.
Sure.
But pretty much just also seeing how things go, like seeing that people our age just die, or a lot of, it doesn't matter really how talented you are. That doesn't mean anything if you be literally the most talented person in the world and never play anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. So every time I got a show after that or an opportunity, I looked at it like, I'm so grateful for this. Like, and the experience, because I just love it so much. Instead of looking at it like, I mean, you still got to look at it as a business, but I also look at it as the thing I love the most. So
no, that's awesome. So I love that idea of reaching out to the promoter from the poster. Like yes. To me, that makes so much sense. It's like, yo, musicians, like if you've got your own thing, if you've got your own style or your own show, and like you obviously like going to other shows, you know, like grab that poster, take it home, like contact all of those people that are on the poster, you know what I mean? Especially the promoter. There was this guy I was talking to yesterday or last week, Caleb Hawley, who's just like one of my favorite musicians. And he was saying that he would go to, at the time when he first started, it was MySpace. And he's like, I would go to these people's MySpace and I would look at all the venues they were playing. and just start contacting, like he would find like musicians, people who were doing things similar to what he was doing. And he would start contacting all the venues that they were booked to play and like sending his stuff, you know? And I was like, man, I think that's such a great idea, you know? But same thing with the posters. It's like, that's where your network starts, you know? And so you contact this promoter. He's like, okay, the club's about to shut down. We're having one last show. I'll give you $50, you know? And you're like, done. Like, I'm coming up there doing the show. So you do the show. Like, first of all, is this like a actual like music venue, like Ground Zero or a theater or?
So the club is still open. It was their last promotional show. Like they weren't going to throw shows anymore as promoters. And I think their budget was tapped and they were just like, all right, we're going to give some, I wasn't the headliner. I was just the opener for the night too. So
okay.
I had been doing it enough. He saw that I had a couple shows in South Carolina that made it seem like, you know, I had a little experience, and he's like, all right, here you go. You want to do this? Come on up. And then they liked it. It worked out.
Wow.
But yeah, utilize Instagram too. Like you can find, you go to these shows, you like whatever you think you fit in with, find out where all those people play, find out all the promoters they work with, look at their friends list, look at all that stuff, and just reach out. And, like, you know, make a little bio about yourself, keep it short and sweet, but be ready to follow up with, this is what I've got, you know, like a one sheet, for example, you know, some links, etc. But and if you're completely green, brand new, I think that's a good opportunity to say, hey, this is where I'm at. I'm looking for this foot in the door, and here's what I can provide for you for the night. And if you have the ability to sell some tickets, you know, say that, like, I know I can sell this amount of tickets, and then try to link it back to some way of proof. But if not, if you don't even have, you can't sell any tickets, right? Nothing. Like you're just bringing you and your show, people will still book that. They just need to see it and not be like, I deserve this show because blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, can we give me this opportunity? This is what I can give you back.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
Man, no, this is great. So yeah, you do that show. And then you said from that show, you got a couple other opportunities. Can you talk about that? How, like, who did you meet, or how did that happen? Did those other opportunities come up from that show?
So the two main opportunities that came out of that were, well, number one, the guy that booked me, Scott, he liked the music and we became friends, and I've known him since then, really. Like we play golf sometimes, right? He doesn't do music quite as much anymore. He just does production for his stuff, and then his guy goes out and plays and stuff. But I met a guy, Michael Morstein. He does shows as Prism, and they're mostly grassroots. It's like gatherings where there's food, and like if you can't pay, there's still a way to, you just come for free. And he does donation based stuff, and just a really good community guy in Baltimore. He booked me for one of his events, and the 8x10 show happened from another promoter who was kind of on his way transitioning out. His name is Eric, and that show with Russ Liquid really helped me out because they liked, you know, they got keys on their stuff, Sax Live, and more people saw that there. And I met this guy, Jared Oppenheim, Choppy Oppy. He does Gradient Perspective, which is a collective and a record label and all these different things. And he started booking me for some shows. So, and then from that network, it continues and continues, and you expand into these bigger, like it feels big, but it's also very small. That's the other thing you're going to realize. Everybody knows everybody, which is crazy. Another thing to be like, I'm going to treat everybody respectfully and kind. And if I get treated poorly, I'm going to hold on to that. And when the moment is appropriate, I'm going to quietly say to somebody, hey, this is the situation. Maybe you want to reconsider. I used to get mad and be like, go on Facebook and be like, this huge company didn't pay me, blah, blah, blah. Like, what's that going to do? That's going to hurt you. You just got to hold on to that and be like, all right, I lost this one. I'm going to win a little bit later down the road.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Just keep it going. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So many people just in general in the workforce, but then especially in entertainment, like just don't understand how important a good attitude is. And like, it can really make or break your career. you know, like just, it can just straight up make or break you, you know, and it's just so cool to see you like, you know, those very tactful moves to make sure like, okay, I'm not going to do something stupid out of emotion just because I'm pissed off, you know, that could really hurt my career. I'm going to just let it ride, and I'll make it back on the next one or whatever it is, you know. So yeah, so your network starts to grow. Had you done like a big tour before this last one?
No, this is my first time like getting to do a tour, which is, it's really frustrating because where I'm at right now, like I have all these amazing experiences, and I have this plethora of, I only do original music, I only do
Mm-hmm.
my thing, and it's always going to be fresh no matter what. Like I'm going to have new songs that I put in, so it's a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
We're at a point in the industry now where people don't care. Some people do, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten these back side door entrances.
Mm-hmm.
But they want to see that my Instagram is at 100K. They want to see that my TikTok is at 100K. They want to
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm going to ticket protect them for XYZ amount of tickets, not realizing that sometimes people support in different ways. They'll just show up, or also they'll hear the music. It provides an experience and a vibe in the environment that can't be replicated. So
Sure.
there's other types of value other than these numbers on your social media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping that I can go for, like, this whole time during this, I've been sending out emails. I've been trying to get myself on a new tour. I've been trying to line up my shows for 2023 and 24 and new
Mm.
festivals. And I'm very hopeful that it's going to work out. Like I've got some really cool opportunities just from asking.
Mm.
But
That's a great point. Yeah.
yeah, you got to ask, and a lot of people will ignore it, but eventually they won't, because enough people will also mention you, or they'll see your name enough times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were on this show, or you know this person, and you know it just flows. Yeah, which goes back to your use of social, especially Facebook. It's just like, you know, people when they see that, when they look you up or Google your name, you know, and like see like, oh man, this, like, she's just like killing it, you know, like that just, it makes such a big difference. So, you know, and that again, the attitude of gratitude, you know, that they see like, okay, I'm going to put her on the show because she's like going to be a dope person to work with, not just because her music is awesome or, you know, et cetera, but like I'm going to enjoy the experience of working with her rather than somebody who I might like their music, but maybe they're a jerk, you know? So yeah. And you could even replace somebody who's bigger than you for them being a jerk, you know, like they might be like, oh, I booked this guy like 5 or 6 times, he's got great music, but I don't like working with him, you know, I'm going to try somebody else.
There
I
will
think
always
that's
be pacemakers. That's the thing you got to keep in the back of your mind. There's always people that are really doing it because they love it and trying to provide something that is special, not just, I mean, I'm not knocking it, but
kind of breaking up a little bit.
I've spotty internet. Hopefully I'm all good here. Are we still good? I can take my
Yeah,
computer
yeah.
and move it tue.
No,
Okay.
yeah, you're okay. Yeah, I was breaking up just a little bit, but you were talking about the difference between like somebody who like wants to give help somebody really feel something, and then a different kind of performer who's just kind of like selling drinks.
What was I going to say? There was another part that was really, oh yeah. When it comes to promoters and agents, or not promoters, like managers and agents, everyone's like, oh, that's going to be what gets me there. Like I need to get signed immediately. That's definitely, well, is not necessarily the right move for people, because you'll get put on a shelf and they won't book you because they got somebody else that's bringing them more money. Or they'll say, hey, we like this, but we're not going to put it out because we want you to sound more like this or that. And those people are supposed to work for you. But the way the industry works right now, I'm not seeing that. Like I've had collabs get canceled because the artist loves it.
Mm-hmm.
One of their management likes it, and then the second manager's like, oh, this person doesn't have enough numbers, we're going to go in a different direction.
Wow.
So it gets to a point where it's not about the music anymore. It's about the numbers and the benefit they can receive from that collaboration or that project, right? Which is why I will stay independent for as long as possible. I just want, and like, I would work with somebody that just wants to love the project too. I've worked with people before and they're like, you got to change this, this, and that. And I'm like, all right, this is where we part ways, but let's stay friends. Yeah.
That's legit. No, that's really good advice, because you're absolutely right. I mean, people in their offices who are out of touch, just see numbers. A lot of times, sometimes they don't even show up to the show. You know what I mean? So it's like they're booking it, or they're like, an agent or whatever, and they're just so out of touch. So no, I think that's so important to make sure that the people that you're working with are connected, and are in touch with the project, and are laying the groundwork, and are, looking for more than just numbers. Absolutely. No, that makes a lot of sense. So tell me about how this opportunity came up with Jason Leach, and, how that whole thing worked out. I know you were so stoked about it. Like, I first saw that first post, like, I'm going on tour. I was like, wow, like, that's so awesome. So like, how did that all come about, and talk about the tour a little bit?
I should also ask him what made him pick me, because I want to know. I did that. I've done that with a couple of those opportunities where I'm like, why did you pick me? Because I didn't, for him, I've known him for a couple of years now, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It was all online in the beginning, just like talking back and forth. I really can't remember, but he eventually got me booked with him in Louisville, Kentucky, where he lives.
Mm-hmm.
This place called Rye, and it was really cool. And after that, we just stayed in touch. Like, anytime he had problems or questions about things, I would give him the resources that I have and information. And it was kind of like mutual like that. Like, we would talk shop. And
Mm-hmm.
I want people to succeed. I'll always tell people, you want to know what rate I got paid? You want to know what I had to do? I'll tell you. I will never keep that to myself. So I
That's
always
awesome.
tell people. So
Mm-hmm.
basically that friendship just continued on. And when this opportunity for him came up, he was like, hey, you want to do this? I was like, 100% I want to do this. It was a pretty good deal for me, for the most part. Like,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of things weren't covered, but I got 200 a show, guarantee $100 for 85% sold out spots. So I got that. It'll be twice. I need to follow up for one of these other ones, but Meow Wolf was 85% sold out.
Mm-hmm.
They're only 10 tickets away from selling out, which is too bad, but it was very cool.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he took good care of me. He looked out for me. He made sure that I had what I needed, and he's a good guy. He's like a genuine, real person.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. And then you would not only have the experience, of just like the stage experience, but then the life experience of like being on tour, and then, the media, from Razor Sharp Productions, which they nailed it, as you're saying, you know.
Spread that name out as far as you can. Like, he just started, like, well, not just started, but I mean, he's trying to do that too. And because
Mm-hmm.
of what he did that for me out of kindness. He didn't need to cover me at all. He wasn't paid for me. I didn't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
I booked him for something in Colorado. I have coming up in October, but like, he did that out of trying to make me look better too.
Mm.
So I will vouch for him all day.
Yo,
A
yo.
fangirl of Razor Sharp now.
Yeah, yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Me too. I've seen the media, and it's just fantastic. I mean, it's awesome. And so he was on the tour, basically booked to cover Jason, and
Yes.
then just covered you because he was there.
Yeah. He didn't know
That's
how to do
awesome.
that. And like I said, day of, right? Getting photos and video stuff. It's like, that's
Wow.
unheard of. Cause I booked one photographer one time for a show
Mm-hmm.
in Colorado. The dude showed up at the end of my set, uh, took horrible photos, and then charged me $175. I mean, I was gonna pay it anyways, but like, he tried to
Yeah.
gaslight me and be like, "Oh, these are good photos." I was like, "They're blurry. You can't see them." He's like, "Well,
Mm.
I think that's just on your end." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna hold off on the photography and videography until I can get further along." And now I just happen to run into this person. Like, I'll be a customer for life. You treat somebody good like that, like, I will dead ass
Yep.
customer for life.
Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
it. Like,
Right
that's what
on.
we got now. Like, I'm afraid he's gonna get snatched away because I'm not like on the shows. That's how good it is, right?
Yeah.
That's how you
Yeah.
make a real friend and connection with somebody, for sure.
Mm-hmm. You just go in and nail it, like, regardless of pay, regardless of whatever, you just kick ass, and
Yeah.
people are going to be there, you know? Yeah, that's awesome. How many dates was this tour that you did?
It was about 10, I think it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
right on.
I had great experiences too. I got to see parts of the country I've never been to. I've never been to Wisconsin or Indiana or Illinois.
Mm. And how did you feel about like the venues and the crowds and like were these like pretty big shows? I mean, it seemed like there's some pretty big shows and you got like some pretty energetic crowds, you know.
A very cool thing happened for that. I loved a lot of places. I loved the crowd. I especially loved the crowd because these people came all from, well, a couple of them came because they knew me from other things early on.
Mm-hmm.
But they came because they saw Jason at Electric Forest. And they came,
Mm,
like these people from all around the country go to that festival and they're, I don't know, there's something magic about it because they become super fans. Like I
mm,
was telling him, I was like, you're gonna look back on that Electric Forest Honeycomb set and that'll be the one that everyone says that's what changed your career. And you are now like you're in it, like you're in the big race now. You made it like from that. Those people were the ones that bought the tickets to these shows. They came out
wow.
and they would come and they'd be like, "Oh, I saw Jason here. I'm so glad I came." Blah blah blah. It's just like really good people. That's
Yeah.
grassroots. That's genuine grassroots, real fans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Similar situation, all because I got to play with Closey at Red Rocks. People bought tickets for some of my shows and were like, "I saw you here," and they came a year later. You know what I mean?
Yo.
Those are that's the ripple effect of like true, I don't know what it is. It's like goodness, greatness, something like there's
Mm-hmm.
something really special about that that
Mm-hmm.
goes out and doesn't disappear. Like I thought it would trickle away by now, but not at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Yeah. And one that, I think perception too makes a big difference. Like you never know how your, art, energy, performance, presentation, you know, touches somebody. You never know what it does to them truly. You can never experience it for them. Only they can. So, you know, I mean, it could be life changing for someone, and as and as you're saying and as you desire, so which I think is such an amazing desire. It's like you want to improve people's lives. You want to make people feel better, and I just think that's such an amazing goal because so many performers are like, I just want people to watch me. I just want to do my thing and show people how awesome I am, which is,
Yeah.
a lot of people are really awesome, but to go out there and have the intention, first and foremost to uplift people, is just so beautiful, and when you do that, like you're saying at Red Rocks, and you establish this genuine connection with people, it's unforgettable, especially for them. It's like they're like, okay, I'm gonna go see her like every time now. So I get that. Especially from where I'm standing, because I'm your fan. So I totally get that. Now, you're looking ahead. What are some of the things that you're doing to set yourself up? You do a lot of production. You got a lot of songs online, SoundCloud and Spotify and all these places. And like you said, your art, oh my gosh, like every time I see your Spotify, or even on like Facebook, some of the art, I'm just like, yo, this is so good. Like so good. So that's a match made in heaven, you know. But what are the things that you're doing, studio wise or production wise, and then live, moving into 2023, 24, and kind of what are your goals? What are the things that you're like, 2023, I want to do this, or 2024, I want to do that? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to some time right now I'm trying to crank out some new tunes to show up in Alaska, and I want to impress these people. Like there's people there that have the ability to change your trajectory. I
Mm,
want them to see my show and be like, all right, this
that's,
can work. Because a lot of people
mm,
don't see how it can work still. I know it. They're like, oh, well,
mm,
it's not club music, people aren't dancing, but they interact in a different way. And
mm-hmm,
it's fulfilling, but I got to show them how it can work. And so I'm completely focused on showing up to Alaska with some new songs
Mm,
and just like the biggest energy I can. So that means also eating healthy, trying to get back to working out, and just
mm,
mentally preparing while also working on these tunes.
mhm.
Tunes wise, I'm trying to add more saxophone, get a little
Mm,
funkier, have some like stuff that people can just bop around to.
yeah.
Uh, just continue to own in on the vocals. Like the vocals have been a really good asset, which I didn't ever think they would be because I don't consider myself a singer, but um, that's really helping because like people hear the words and that's what they connect with. Like
Mhm.
they don't necessarily like the solos are great and everything, the keys, the saxophone, that's awesome. But when they hear the message, that's the part that makes them feel better. And combine
Yeah.
those, and it's like an ingredient for your favorite meal. Like you just have to have it.
Mm, mm.
Not
Well,
necessarily, yeah.
it's like I've been learning this kind of myself too. I'm going through this journey a little bit of kind of self-revelation and having it go deeper than just the music, having it be a little bit more meaningful and maybe sharing a little bit more of yourself than you thought you needed to, which, is people, that's what really establishes that connection, say like, hey, this is how my day is going, or this is what you know, this is, these are my opinions, or this is what I think about this or that, I think it's just like, it makes such a difference in the connection. So I applaud you for that, for like, again, like having that awareness to know, okay, number one, the connection isn't where I want it to be. What can I do to make it better? And then figuring out and then doing it, it's like, hell yeah, of course that's going to work.
It's a little scary at first because you gotta, I don't know, it feels very exposing, but I'm getting to a point where I just don't care what
Mm,
anybody thinks. Like I'm
mm-hmm.
sure somebody's gonna come for me eventually. You always get somebody in a comment being like blah blah blah. It's like who cares, man? Like I'm gonna do this and I'm
Yeah.
just like all I have is my authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's what I want to give.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, we wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, that's awesome. That no, and I love too just that idea of like, you never know who's in your audience. Like you never know
Right.
who could be watching or how this one show could change, your entire situation.
Look at
Um,
every show that way.
mm,
Every single show, even like some podunk bar in nowhere. Like I don't care. Like every
yeah.
show is gonna get the same amount of energy.
Mm-hmm. No doubt, no doubt. Those are the best. Okay, I got a couple other questions. Who have been and who are some of your main like influences for listening to?
Okay, so I love Khruangbin. I think that's how you say their name. Uh,
Okay.
I'm big fan of that band. I like Jasmine Sullivan, like Ari Lennox, like some more of that R&B soul singing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I love, Pink Floyd is what made me want to play saxophone back as a kid. Classic
Yo.
rock stuff like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I heard those synths. I held on to that for years until I found that song From the Beginning. That made me
Mm.
want to like play electronic stuff, electronic, right?
Wow.
Like, I could go on forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I love soul music, deep
Mm.
love soul music. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. And so you're at this state park. What are some of the things that you do outside of music, that are fulfilling for you and that kind of keep you going?
The most fulfilling for me is some outdoor time. Like I walk the dogs on the trails and stuff, and my sheep Miss Lamb lives here as well. But
Oh,
there's we take care of the animals here. There's a Hog Island sheep, Ossabaw Island hogs. We have American milking Devon cattle. So it's just like I have these friends that I've created that are these animals, and that is what I enjoy the most about this job is
mm-hmm.
the actual land, the river, and the animals. Like they're my friends.
Yeah,
That's fulfilling. That is fulfilling.
that's beautiful. That's awesome. And then the last thing, do you have any other final thoughts just from your side of, if you were speaking to somebody who was in your position, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and what are some of the things maybe that you would tell them, or any final thoughts?
Only you know what is right for you, and you got to trust your gut every single time. Like your gut genuinely talks to you. Like in like I say my gut, but it's like it's something like directly in, and it says, hey, this doesn't feel right, or this does. And sometimes that means saying no to something that seems like the biggest deal in the world. Like, yes, I'm going to join this agency and they're going to change everything for me, but at what cost? Right? If it
Mm,
doesn't feel right, it's not right.
mm,
And nobody can tell you what to do. Like, you know what's right. That's it.
mm,
Just keep going unrelentlessly. Don't ever give up, because it is very hard. Like, I've lived
mm,
out of my car before, right?
mm,
I've
yeah,
like I currently live without running water, right? I go to
mm,
fitness and stuff. You got to just work, no matter if you want it, just go for it.
yeah,
100% all in, and don't give up, because eventually all those no's, there's one yes. You could have a million no's, there's always a yes.
mm,
Always.
amen. Yes, yeah. McWavy, y'all, check her out. If you don't know, now you know. And see if you can catch a show if you're lucky enough. But definitely get on her Spotify, get on her SoundCloud. Make sure you connect with her on Facebook and all the socials. McWavy, we will be blowing you up. So no doubt about that. And definitely look forward to just continuing to watch your journey. Thank you. Thank you for doing this interview.
Let me know what you need from me, because I'm happy to help in any way. I'm grateful to do this interview. This is my first one like this, and it's really fun.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good one.
Much love.
All right. Much love. Take care.
Bye.